Hello, I'm Simon Adebisi and welcome to highlights of the 2012 Formula SimRacing World Championship. The United Arab Emirates is the next port of call for the teams and drivers. Round 14 of the championship takes place around the glamorous Yas Marina circuit, the only race featuring a day through night transition and one of the few anti-clockwise circuits. This track features 21 turns, the majority of which are low to moderate speed corners. With two extremely long straights, the obvious overtaking opportunities are at turn 8 and the triple chicane at turn 11. Qualifying showed Bono Huis on his typical top form, claiming the top spot yet again, just ahead of last round's winner Ivar Calamaze. Jeffrey Rietveld set the third fastest time, again showing great pace. Jack Keithley put his precision car into fourth, and Peter Burlack pulled off a good result for Twister to qualify in fifth. With Morand not competing in the remainder of the season, Ville Lepelaar now moves up to GoSpeed's main racing team, and he qualified in 6th position, just ahead of Matt Corr's Patrick de Wit in 7th. Driving for Silverline, Martin Gosby pulled off a small surprise, getting up into 8th, beating out Twister's Mohamed Patel, with Philip Pushka rounding out the top 10. Gogo Baldi failed to make it to Q2, settling for 11th, just ahead of Faster Than Speed's John-Eric Saxon in 12th. Rasmus Tali had very disappointing pace, only setting the 13th fastest time, and Zoltan Chudi would start from 14th position. To the race start, nor the front runners achieved a good launch. Calamaze kept alongside Huis and forced the Dutchman to stick to the outside through the opening corner. Lepelaar managed to pass to Witt, and while Chudi ran wide, there was no significant contact through the first turn. Down through Sector 1, Calamaze came out in front, taking over the race lead from Huis. There was plenty of side-by-side driving as the field sorted itself out into the chicane. Rietveld was just holding off Keithley, but he broke too late for the hairpin and very nearly tapped Huis, losing the position to Keithley. Down the first straight, the field were running 4 abreast at some points of the field. Rietveld got back ahead of Keithley, while Pushka passed 3 cars at once with an aggressive move, making slight contact with de Wit. Into turn 11, Huis retook his position with an outside pass on Calamaze, while behind things got a little more scrappy with Lepelaar putting the power down too quickly out of the corner as he span off. Calamaze came right back at Huis and immediately retook the race lead. Huis later challenged the Estonian under the hotel but couldn't complete the move. Lap 2 and Huis continued to search for a way through, but Calamaze stood his ground, with Huis making another attack on the following corner. With the pair driving side by side, there was a queue of drivers immediately behind, though Calamaze maintained the top spot. Keithley and Rietveld were fighting hard for third place, with plenty of tyre rubbing occurring as the pair drove under the hotel, Rietveld eventually prevailing. However, just behind, Philip Pushka, who had made a fantastic start, was caught out by Peter Burlack's pass, and the two collided with both cars sliding off the track, Burlack hitting the barriers hard, causing terminal damage, while Pushka carried on way down in 16th place. On the following lap, Jack Keithley got back ahead of Jeffrey Rietveld with a pass into turn 11 for third, while Gogo Baldi found his way into 5th place, overtaking de Wit, with Patel, Gosby and Chudi just behind. Mohamed Patel then went on the attack, passing de Wit also into turn 11, and the Matt Corr driver was then swamped, with Martin Gosby making an aggressive pass, and then Zoltan Chudi joining in, with de Wit dropping down into 9th through the final sector. Back at the front, and it was a close affair between Calamaze and Huis. Huis braked deep into turn 8, getting alongside Calamaze before emerging out in front, only to lose the position again on the following lap through turn 11. The slipstream effect making it very hard for either driver to escape. There were more attacks on the next lap from Huis, but he couldn't find his way through, and slight contact was made on lap 8. With the pace slowing up as the drivers fought, Rietveld was now back onto the leading train, and it wasn't long before 5th place Baldi joined the party as well. Lap 10 and slight contact was made between Calamaze and Huis, with both drivers locking up and doing well to maintain control. With 5 cars scrambling for position, Calamaze remained in front, while Baldi and Rietveld came together into turn 11, with Rietveld coming out on top and then immediately passing Keithley again for third place. With the exception of Rietveld, all drivers in the top 7 then came into pit lane for their first of 4 stops. Calamaze, Huis, Keithley and Baldi all maintained their respective positions, with Patel just behind in 6th. Meanwhile, in the battle for 8th, de Wit and Chudi came together, with Chudi having a half spin, losing valuable time. Jeffrey Rietveld pitted on the following lap, and despite having an entire lap of the circuit in clean air, he slotted right back into third place exactly as he was before. Now in the race lead, Martin Gosby revealed himself to be on a 3-stop strategy, the Silverline driver certainly looking to be in a very strong position. Further behind, the pit stops turned into a nightmare for Patrick de Wit, the Matcor team having technical issues, forcing the Dutchman to pit twice in as many laps, dropping de Wit all the way to the rear of the field. While the stops did space out the top 5 a little, it wasn't long before the fireworks started again. Bono Huis retook the race lead with a simple pass on the inside of turn 11. However, he would only enjoy the top spot for a single lap before he succumbed to pressure from Calamaze as he clipped the curb through the triple chicane, allowing the RS Evo driver back alongside. Going through Sector 3 side by side, Calamaze eventually came out in front with Rietveld and Keithley just behind. Another attack again into turn 11 saw Huis get on the outside of Calamaze, but he couldn't stick the move, and Rietveld took full advantage, slipping up the inside of Huis to overtake him for the first time. A small mistake under the hotel allowed Huis to get back alongside, but incredibly Rietveld simply broke early for the next turn and retook his place with a very bold move. Huis quickly came back at his fellow countryman on the next lap, outbraking him into turn 8 and just barely defending the position into the chicane at turn 11. Baldi was now right back onto the train in 5th position, with Mohammed Patel just behind in 6th and Martin Gosby in 7th. Further behind, Zoltan Chudy was in 8th, and despite his off-track excursion on lap 2, Philip Pushka was back up into 9th, and he attacked Chudy with a clean pass through the turn 8 chicane, moving up into 8th. Peter Varga was in 10th place, soldiering on with minor damage he'd suffered in his opening stint. Ivar Calamaze was the first to make his second stop, and although he was held up slightly by traffic on his outlap, he just cleared Bono Huis as he exited pit lane with no change to the gap. Huis made a big lunge at turn 8, but Calamaze simply turned in early, maintaining the race lead. Meanwhile, Rietveld left pit lane to find Keithley right alongside him, and although the GT Amiga driver looked to get out ahead, Keithley attacked him into the hairpin to take the position. Not surprisingly, Rietveld wasn't finished and made a pass into turn 8. However, Keithley switched sides and emerged with a better run onto the second straight to maintain position. A few laps later, Rietveld made an aggressive outside passing attempt through the triple chicane. The pair had an ugly moment as Keithley was forced onto the inside curb, with Rietveld taking over 3rd position. Making his second of only 3 stops, Martin Gosby emerged from pit lane to be just beaten for 6th by Mohammed Patel. But having one less stop to make than everyone ahead of him, Gosby was certainly in a potential podium position, doing a fantastic job for Silverline. Eventually, Patel made a small mistake, losing traction and allowing Gosby out ahead. Back at the front, Huis yet again attacked Calamaze, this time into turn 8 with a clean pass. But with Calamaze getting a bad run onto the second straight, he was unable to attempt to retake his position. Driving a clean couple of sectors, Huis managed to quickly create a small gap, ensuring that Calamaze was now out of his slipstream and the champion slowly began to pull away. Further behind in the battle for 9th, Peter Varga and Zoltan Chudy were fighting it out, with Yannick Lapchan not far behind. Unfortunately, Lapchan and Chudy soon had a heavy collision into turn 8, with Chudy losing the position and dropping behind Kostadinov. Chudy immediately retook his place, albeit with a very aggressive pass, forcing Kostadinov over the anti-cut strips. Kostadinov came back at the Hungarian with an awkward pass through the triple chicane, with plenty of contact being made. Just ahead, things were getting just as messy, with Lapchan driving very roughly against Peter Varga. Through Sector 3 there was plenty of tyre rubbing, and on the following lap, Lapchan made an over-optimistic move into turn 8, again hitting Varga, while just behind an identical incident occurred, with Chudy causing Kostadinov to spin out. After the 4 stoppers made their 3rd stops, Martin Gosby was now in the race lead, albeit with a slower car. Bono Huis remained ahead of Calamaze, while Jeffrey Rietveld was holding off Keithley for 4th place. Gogo Baldi remained in a lonely 6th position, while in 7th place Mohammed Patel was slowly being caught by Philip Pushka. A 3-stop strategy had also worked for both John-Eric Saxon and Rasmus Tali, both drivers now into the top 10. The final set of stops gave Bono Huis the lead, but Martin Gosby was still in 2nd place, just ahead of Calamaze with 10 laps left to go. Calamaze seemed nervous about making a passing attempt, with Gosby braking significantly earlier for the corners. However, with 5 laps left, Calamaze got on the outside of the Briton, and with an aggressive overtake, the pair made slight contact, with Gosby losing the place. Further behind, and clearly with a faster pace, Pushka finally got close enough to Patel to make the move for 7th. However, while it looked like the positions had been decided, Pushka realised that he didn't have enough fuel to make it to the finish line, and the Ghostbeak driver was forced to pit on the final lap, though fortunately the German only lost 1 position. adding yet another victory to his name. World champion Bono Huis won a difficult Grand Prix, taking the checkered flag with a near 10-second margin after another stunning drive. Ivar Calamaze finished a very strong race in second place, following up from his win in the previous round, achieving another amazing result. And taking the final step on the podium, Martin Gosby came in third, achieving a wonderful result with the first podium for both himself and the Silverline Racing team. Coming in fourth, Jeffrey Rietveld had an eventful Grand Prix with plenty of overtaking, but he was penalised with 5 seconds added to his race time due to contact with Keithley during the second stint, relegating him down 1 position. This promoted Jack Keithley into 4th place, the Briton driving an entertaining and eventful race. Gogo Baldi had a quiet race but achieved a solid result in 6th position. Mohammed Patel drove a strong race for Twister Racing, coming in 7th, and despite a spin on lap 2 and an unscheduled stop, Philip Pushka still brought his Go Speed car home for 8th. John Eric Saxon's strategy worked well for the Faster Than Speed team, crossing the line in 9th position, and Rasmus Tali rounded out the top 10, also with a 3-stop strategy. The penultimate round has seen no change for the top 7 drivers in the overall standings. Rietveld has extended his lead over Tali in the battle for 3rd place, and it will now be difficult for Tali to reach the Dutchman. Baldi will need a podium placing at the final round to have any chance at advancing up into 4th, and De Wit will no doubt have his hands full trying to hold off 6th position from Keithley. And Calamaze is now inside the top 10 after just his 4th Grand Prix, equal on points with both Lapchan and Saxon. There's been no change to the order of the constructors, though GT Amiga have now secured 2nd place overall. Go Speed will almost certainly take 3rd, but there will be an interesting battle for 5th position with Netrex and Twister separated by just 3 points. Matt Core set for 7th position, and Faster Than Speed just have the edge over Ash Racing for 8th. Both Silverline and RS Evo picked up their biggest points hauls this round, with both teams still a minor chance for 8th as well. The next race will be the final round of the FSR World Championship, and you can watch the race live as it happens at SimRace TV on the 4th of November at 4 PM GMT. And don't forget to check out Formula Sim Racing on both Facebook and Twitter, and don't miss out on your last chance to join in on the Formula Sim Racing Fantasy League. We hope you've enjoyed this presentation. I'm Simon Adebisi, and we'll see you in 2 weeks' time for the final round of the 2012 Formula Sim Racing World Championship.